done? Ain't nothing to it but to do it, brother. Let's roll.
In a world where Carolina Panthers fans have an insatiable thirst for Panthers news and opinions, only one podcast roars ferociously. It's the C3 Panthers Podcast.
What's good, Panther fans? New Bryce mentor, Miami fire sale, what Darrell Bevell means for Carolina. That's tonight's show. The guru, the cap boom, and the Panthers window may just be opening. For the first time in years, the Panthers aren't rebuilding. They could be actually charting a direction. We're going to be talking about the return of franchise Ironman Jansen, the arrival of QB mentor Darrell Bevell, a rising salary cap that suddenly makes Carolina potentially a player, even though somehow they don't have any money right now, and the possibility for some real defensive or real difference makers, should I say, hitting the market. My name's Tony Dunn. It's the C3 Panthers Podcast. It's Tuesday night, and that's CK. How you doing, my friend?
Man, more of the same, man. Just happy to be here with the fella. I guess we can say that, and then without having our two fellow horsemen in the show this evening. But man, there was still somehow some Panther stuff to talk about between, obviously talking about upcoming free agency, some teams that have gone on their fire sale. Obviously, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, we're just very shortly going to be having the combine, which, without Cody, I don't know how we're going to be able to drum up the excitement in this. But and then we have some old Panthers legends getting, kind of burying the hatchet between Cam and Steve, which we can touch on very, briefly, as there wasn't a lot of bombshells in that little, meetup between the two of those guys. But, man, somehow we are going to find a way to talk about the Carolina Panthers every single Tuesday, even when there seemingly would be nothing to talk about.
Well, we got actually a lot of good things in store for you guys tonight as we chase down some free agent opportunities and see how the Carolina Panthers can work within their current cap circumstances. Do us a solid, smash the thumbs up button, subscribe to the show. If you're listening later on iTunes or Spotify, leave us a 5-star review, if you will. Participate in the chat and be a part of tonight's show by calling in at 252-228-5098. That's 252-228-5098. Let's go ahead and jump right in. I guess this is, you want to talk about continuity. Jansen returns to the Carolina Panthers for, I believe, what will be his, it says 18th season. So it's either he's had 18 seasons or he's going into his 18th or into his 19th, or he's had 18, or this is his 18th. Anyway, he's the last link to the Carolina Panthers Super Bowl. He's the longest tenured Panther of all time, I believe, and maybe the longest tenured player in the NFL altogether. He's played 18 seasons. He's had 277 games. And he's an anchor for this team. We talked about it last week that this was somebody that could be on the radar. Jansen coming back, giving us, hey, if there's anything, it's Tuesday night. It's the C3 Panthers Podcast. And Jansen has been a Panther the entire time we've done this podcast.
It's quite interesting to have a guy. The thing that's interesting about his position is when you see people play this late, it's usually from a less physical, role, right? As a long snapper, you're talking about the dude has to fight through blocks. He has to block, but also fight through blocks to get down and cover punts and, be a really big asset on the special teams. And the dude's done it at a pretty high level for 18 seasons now. I'm happy to have him back. At some point, we're going to have to start thinking about life after JJ. But, man, if the dude wants to retire a Panther and we can get another year of that consistency, I am all for the dude coming back.
That time of life after JJ is not here yet. Even though Matt Rule tried to draft him out of town and then ended up re-signing him. Carolina, in the years after, has found out that they're no Matt Fool. JJ Jansen's here to stay. Let me ask you this, CK, does bringing a veteran like Jansen, how important is this to the stability of the team, I guess? I mean, I know it's kind of an outside, it's not like a crazy position. You know what I'm saying? Does it bring any continuity to the team, or is this just kind of a feel-good story?
I think it can be all of the above, to be honest with you. I think JJ Jansen being here is not only about his ability to, you tell me the last time we've had any type of an issue with the snaps,
Right. I mean, I've never noticed anything.
Like, you're talking about a pretty high level, player at that. And on top of that, I think from a cultural standpoint, the guy is going to be able to bring a lot more to this locker room than I think people realize, especially when you see that he does the cart talk. He clearly has great relationships with everybody on special teams, and I think everybody in that building ultimately. So I do think that this was important just to kind of keep the consistency of the team together, because I think that position is pretty important.
Stability and long snappers don't win championships necessarily. They are important, though, as Nanook of the North says. But if you want to win games, this team has got to have some vision, and their coaching staff for the players that they have on the roster, the players that they're acquiring. And all eyes, CK, have been on Dave Canales this past season is this guy, can he get this offense going, and how can Bryce Young, how can he make the most of him? While we've seen improvements, these guys are kind of linked, it feels like a little bit, maybe not linked forever, but this is what Dave Canales was brought here to do, and the offense was not that great this season, CK. So it looks like Dave Canales has gone out and done something important, potentially the most important Panthers hire nobody outside of Charlotte is talking about. They went and got Darrell Bevell. Darrell Bevell, a little QB whisperer. And when I say little QB whisperer, he's actually specializes in designing offense for smaller QBs, right? He has, look at some of the things from him, is that he's built offenses for elite quarterbacks from Russell Wilson in Seattle, which goes back to a Dave Canales connection. He worked with Brett Favre in his late career resurgence. He ran a top 10 passing offense with Matt Stafford, and he helped Tua Tagovailoa lead the league in passer rating and yards at one point, or at least ushered him to his best season. This hire may be important. CK, we'll start with this. Does Bryce need this tutoring, or does he just need added protection? And can Bevell, do you think, could he be an answer to help Dave Canales out?
Sure. I think that this could be a move that shows that Dave Canales isn't everything that needs to be necessary for them to be able to be for him to be able to get the most out of Bryce. So that's what I would say. I think that there's always the upside. There's always the other side of this where too many people in his ear and all of that I could see coming into play on this. But I think just his track record certainly is worthy of seeing if he can do something to increase the productivity of Bryce going into year 4. But this isn't a super exciting move to me, in my opinion.
I like this. I think this is something that could be very helpful, because we go and look at like Dave Canales and you go, oh, look at him. He was with Seattle, and they got a lot out of in the years that they got a lot out of Russell Wilson. And then you go, oh, look, he went to the first year he called an offense, or the only year he called an offense prior to coming to Carolina, was in Tampa, and he got a lot out of, I guess it was Baker Mayfield in his first year with Tampa Bay. And so many, it was like, oh, well, this guy, he knows how to work with quarterbacks, and he's an offensive mind and all of this. And you know what, he's young. He's young. Dave Canales is a young, ultimately relatively inexperienced coach. While he's been in the league and with Seattle for a long time, not necessarily in giant roles, right? And so as he took over in head coach, and I think he's done a noteworthy or a respectable job, right? He's got us trending, at least it feels like, in the right direction. And most importantly, when things felt like they could have come off the rails, he was able to keep these teams together and navigate some kind of troubled waters. But we saw that play calling for him, and or at least it felt like managing the duties of head coach and offensive coordinator at times were a little difficult. And I think this is like you're bringing in somebody where you keep the structure of him calling plays. We've debated whether that's the right move. You keep Chad, what's his name? Chad Izzik, as in Chad Izzik is the offensive coordinator, or at least that's what they say. But you're bringing in a guy, I think, that really has a pedigree that can work intimately with Bryce Young and continue to try to usher him into that next phase. And hopefully this takes some pressure off of Dave Canales to do everything.
Yeah, I mean, that's the hope, is that you free him up to be able to be more of an architect for the entire team, more so than just the architect for the offense or just for Bryce Young. You know, when you came in as the head coach, the number one goal for him, and I think everybody saw him coming in, was to fix Bryce Young. That was his priority number one. And now we're 2 years into his tenure. Now this is going into his third year. I think we just got to the playoffs for the first time in 10 years, almost. And, I think it's fair to say, let's allow him to take a step away from just all of the focus on Bryce, allow him to focus on the bigger picture. And then these guys can be a little bit more intentional on a more individualized basis with Bryce, and many of the other position groups, even other parts of the offense as well. So we'll see what this does for his ability to be able to keep this team together and continue to move it in the right direction. I think we all can agree we are not where we want to be. Even though we had a pretty valiant effort towards the end of the year with that playoff game, but yeah, there's still a lot of work to be done, and I'm a fan of anything he can do to focus himself up on the building, the bigger picture of the team, and not something that's just so specific to one individual player.
Thanks for everybody listening. VR, let's give some shout outs to the chat. VR, the Hope Dealer in here, Harvey London, Just Inc. 2038. What's good? We've got My Bastard Son, White Chocolate Espresso, Nanook of the North, John B. Jenkins, Panther Gal, and I think that's about Blind Panther Vlog in there. We've got a small but mighty crowd in the offseason as we are kind of drumming up conversation. But look, is that the league is about to take off as we hit news of today. I think was the first day that you could tender the franchise tag, right? Not really many candidates when it comes to the Carolina Panthers at that moment. But really, football is about to ramp up with free agency on the horizon. And we've got some news regarding that. Is right now, expect a little fuel in the tank for this Carolina Panthers trying to get a little momentum, as the salary cap is likely going to be between $300 and $305 million, which is roughly about a $25 million increase league-wide per team. And the Panthers hopefully can create far more space by adjusting and working on the roster they have. Maybe we've got some outlines of some plans or some potential teams, other teams, what they've done in the past. Carolina might be moving, or should we ask, are they going to be bargain shopping? Right now, they are not in terribly great shape when it comes to the cap. When will they ever be? I do not know. But will they be bargaining shopping, or will they be making some noise in free agency? I'll ask you guys in the chat to chime in and let me know. CK, is this the offseason Morgan must strike, or you have to be a cautious builder here?
I think we have to be willing to splash at least once in the free agency. And I think that has to be something that we'll talk about a little bit later in what position group I believe we need to be doing that. But I think we need to do more of the same that we did last year. When we see how many players or how many games the people we drafted played last year, we need to do another one of those types of things. We need to get players in here that we draft, that we produce, we build up and get better and better and better, and allow this team to grow organically into the culture that we want it to be. And that's only because I think that we don't have the core that we need to be able to justify the big splash. I said it last year. I think I still maintain this. I don't think we're one player away, right? I think we really need to do what we did last year, which is draft guys that can contribute immediately. And dude, I'm telling you, if you look at how many games were played by rookies last year that were drafted last year for the Panthers, it's pretty astonishing compared to every other team. Like we had pretty much every rookie player playing over 15 games last year.
And you got some good production down the stretch from some of those guys. Right now, CK, the Panthers enter the 2026 offseason with about $13 million in effective cap space. And they rank in the bottom third of league flexibility. I think they're 19th in overall cap or 22 around that ranked in the league. But there are some pathways for GM Dan Morgan to clear up maybe upwards of 80 million if they went crazily aggressive and they were in a win now. I would expect this to be middle of the road, because the idea of this team trying to somehow only having 13 million, maybe if you add 25 more as the cap jumps once they get those current figures. Really, the Panthers, you have to, 30 million, you got to spend like 5 million or more on just signing your rookies. You're going to need more. I feel like anything under 40, 45 is like you're working with pennies here. And like, I believe it was Marcus Cash, 7870, he said, need to restructure Damian Lewis, Robert Hunt, and Taylor Moton. So here are some actual high impact suggestions, high impact restructured candidates, right? And what restructuring involves, it involves converting your base salary into a signing bonus to spread the hit over the future years. So this is a fast way of creating cap space and maintaining the players you got, so they don't lose any money. What you do is you distribute it differently. But the issue with restructuring is that if and when the time comes that you are in need of moving on from these players, you often have to suck up a little bit or a significant amount more dead money, because when you spread that salary, the bonus out, they spread out. Say you got a 40 million sign-in bonus over 4 years, and you have a 4-year contract, they spread that out evenly, 10 million, 10 million, 10 million. But if you part ways with that player in year 3, you've got to pay all of that money that's left over all at once. Right. So here are some potential ways that the Carolina Panthers, and it aligns with Marcus Cash 78570. Thank you for that comment, Marcus. He says, he's saying these 3 guys, he pointed to Taylor Moton, Robert Hunt, and Damian Lewis. Some other names, and we often see restructuring taking place with guys who have recently signed, because you plan on keeping those guys around. JC Horn could be a candidate for restructuring, which could potentially spread out the money in a way that could open $10 to $12 million up. Robert Hunt is another restructure candidate that could, in about the same range, close to 11.8 million. Derek Brown can convert his salary and save 11.6 million. And Taylor Moton is one of those names. I don't believe, even though some have suggested that Trevor Morg could potentially be this, he's so underpaid. Well, no, I'm thinking Mike Jackson. Trevor Morg might be another one that you did right there. So, CK, your thoughts on the Carolina Panthers? I feel this is urgent, that the Panthers need to work to, not build everything in a day, but you have to continue to be relevant and grow and not miss your moment. Your moment can't always be down the road. So it doesn't mean like one piece or one thing. What do you feel about on this list? To me, I'm most interested, I think, in a JC Horn or Derek Brown restructure, because I feel like those guys are guaranteed to stick around the longest.
Yeah, I mean, I'm more likely Derek Brown. I don't think you're one year into JC Horn's contract and you're going to turn around and do a restructure there. I think we've restructured Taylor Moton so many times. I don't really know how we can continue to do that. The Robert Hunt one could be interesting. I think that one makes a little more sense because we did a longer deal for him, right? Damian Lewis was a 3-year, Robert Hunt was a 4-year.
Right. I believe so. So
I feel like the argument for maybe Hunt could be more valuable, especially if you anticipate. I mean, that dude's that's a dude you can build an offensive line around. His attitude
we believe that, but he is coming off of a significant injury, right? That he tried to get back out on the field. Not that I don't believe he's going to be the player that he was, that this is going to be a long term, but you have to see how he comes back, right? Is one injury lead to another because you're compensating? It seemed like he got nicked up when he did come back. He still continued to play. I'm kind of the opinion that JC Horn might be the candidate because you signed him to 5 years. I don't know, is like, how do you then, I don't even know what you would do. You put a void year at the end, maybe or something like that.
Maybe it's something like that. It could be,
or no, you move the salary to signing bonus, then they reallocate that whatever lost salary is. Does that mean that I'm gonna have to pull it up to see what he's gonna make this year? But I think that let me ask you this, if you had to bet on who was going to be a Carolina Panther in 3 years, do you think the odds are higher for JC Horn or Robert Hunt?
Oh gosh, I'm going to say Robert Hunt.
Wow. Well, you might trade bait the top corner in the league in a couple of years.
I think that we value that offensive line way too much. I mean, way more. Not saying we don't value the cornerback position. I'm just stating that, number one, let's be real about it. JC Horn was off a down year. He was not the same guy that you would have paid. He was not the same cornerback that we paid at the beginning of last year. For the majority of the year last year. Not saying
he had a better season. He outperformed his contract, is what you're saying?
No, I think he underperformed his contract.
He had the best season he's had all year, right? Most picks, made the Pro Bowl. That was he made year.
That was if we based what we saw this year off of what got him paid, it's a completely different season than he had the year before. I'm not saying the year before was like this, unbelievable game or year, but this past year was absolutely not.
They're holding a couple of games against them hard, CK.
Not a couple of games. I mean, it was. There were quite a few games where he was a liability. Horn did not have a great year this year.
All right. Yeah. Look, as the chats agree, Nanook of the North said Mike Jack had a great year. Horn, not so much. I did think he had a lot of picks this year, though.
I mean, at the very beginning of the year, I think he was on pace for a good year. Then he fell off
in the San Francisco game.
Yeah.
Right? And then he had the fall down game. I think what really just sticks out is you had that Saints game. I think it was at home.
Yeah.
And then there was another game late in the season where he just was a little out of sorts, or, I mean, he had moments, but it's interesting. It's a good point, I guess, is to think about was he as consistent as you need him to be? And maybe if he does come out and continue to just impress, right, is as you're starting to try to find ways to gain talent later on, maybe you're talking about doing one of those trades in the future where JC Horn is somebody that people want to go after.
Yeah.
Not this season or next season, but you could see in 3 seasons, he's a top tier corner. He's ready for the new contract. Maybe there would be some trade bait there. Interesting to watch. We'll be watching these guys, Horn, Hunt, Brown, Moten, and Morrig, how you guys think that they are going to deal with their contracts. Let us know in the chat what you think about that. Now, here's some kind of a different talk right here. And somebody brought it up in the chat. I believe it was, by the way, a C3 Superfan, VR, the Hope dealer. You can be a C3 Superfan for $1.99 a month and help us keep the lights on, particularly in this slow season. Many hands make for light work. He said, I hope Ashawn Robinson's not a cap casualty. Here are, I don't think out of this list, there's one I'm going to give you that I don't think is anywhere close to being one, because anytime you see post June 1st cuts, I mean, really, I don't know how much that helps you. You are really giving them the short end of the stick by not allowing them to, I guess, enjoy the free agency period, right? Ashawn Robinson, if he was a post June 1st cut or a trade, would save the Panthers $10.5 million and only have a dead money of $2 million. So is this a guy? And I thought he was a good player for this team this year, but is he on the older side and a guy that you could, at least you're going to have to start to rely on some of those free agents that you picked up in Bobby Brown III and Turk Wharton? Maybe you're calling for them to have a larger role. Here's the one name I think when it comes to a post June 1 cut that doesn't make any sense, really. Financially, you could save up to $13 million. Damian Lewis, right, I think that maybe that's a candidate for how did the Panthers maybe even work a new deal out.
I think that's our best bet with Damian Lewis is a contract extension.
Yeah, another year.
Which is, by the way, important for everybody to recognize. He's coming off of the best year that I think we might have had in a long time from a defense or offensive tackle or offensive guard.
Just Inc. watching on YouTube says, so some people are saying YouTube is down. Oh, no, psych. I guess it's back. Maybe it was their internet. Just Inc.'s watching on YouTube. Thanks for that. Make sure to smash the thumbs up button and subscribe. Said, don't restructure Moten's contract. And I think I kind of agree with this look, Moten, an incredible player for the Carolina Panthers, has been so his availability has been one of his top abilities. And on top of that, he's just been a good right tackle. But he is getting long in the tooth, CK. And I don't know how much you want to continue to force the marriage to work. And I'm not saying move on from him. I'm not saying but you don't want to get stuck where this helps you a little bit right now and hurts you a lot more down the road. So I'm kind of with you is that Taylor Moten, I don't know if that is a restructure that is ideal, but he has been a consistent player for the Carolina Panthers. And I tell you this, as we talked in the past weeks, when it comes to the offensive line, particularly with the Kim Kwanu's injury, a big-time injury that faces really a lot of or begs the question of how the Carolina Panthers are going to continue to provide the protection for Bryce Young that matches the investment that they made. Losing that piece, or you can't have that anytime soon. So you guys, I'm sure Dan Morgan, and who's the giant head guy? His assistant. What's his name? Brad.
Now that you're okay, YouTube is glitching now. Interesting. Okay. You're Brent.
Remember, he's got the huge head. He came from Kansas City. Yeah, what's his name?
Brent Tillis or Brant Tillis?
Brant. Yeah.
Now I'm like, I'm questioning myself.
Brant
Tillis is his last name.
Not our congressman in North Carolina. But
you could tell we're in off-season mode because we've already lost like half of our information in our heads.
I don't know. I'm terrible with these names anyways. I know who I'm talking about. Giant head guy who was brought from Kansas City to manage the money and that has worked in unison so well with Dan Morgan. At least that's how they describe that relationship. Is he's got his work cut out for him right now as the Carolina Panthers are trying to navigate that offensive line right there. And Taylor Moton, though, I don't know how you can I don't see him going anywhere anytime soon necessarily, but the Panthers are going to need to make additions to that offensive line. And I guess maybe they have to take a bullet and eat some money and some restructures down the road to make sure that they don't lose the gains that they've had. Some other names on the list: Patrick Jones II, who went out, missed actually most of the entire season with a back injury, I believe. Cutting him, you cut him, and you got close to $5 million in savings. Tommy Tremble, moving on from him at tight end, could open up $6 million, and Andy Dalton, $2 million. Some people are saying that we should keep Andy Dalton. I know the Carolina Panthers have talked about continuing to build that quarterback room. Your thoughts on Andy Dalton and Tommy Tremble, CK?
So the Tommy Tremble is gonna feel more like emotional than anything to get rid of him. Just because, homegrown, we wanted to keep him in here for probably just, but it's just not working, in my opinion. Like, nothing is feeling like it's like, he doesn't feel like he's a liability, but at the end of the day, it just doesn't. I don't know that I feel like we need Tommy Tremble on the team.
I feel like that with all of our tight ends for the history of football since we've had Greg Olson is like, you need them. We always rely on them. We need them in these pass protections. You need these guys when you're kicking field goals and kicking extra points, and they always tell us how important they are, and we just never get to see. We just had one guy that stepped up, and I think that was with Jatavius Sanders, which was so disappointing for many of us this season. You're ready for that. We're ready for a tight end to have a second year that's better than his rookie year. And that goes for every single tight end we've had since Greg Olson left.
How much of this is the tight end or how much of it is the game plan? Like, I just don't know that.
I can't believe that. Well, I mean, then are you going to ask the question, can Bryce not throw over the mid? I just have a hard time believing that you've got guys that are so much better. And we saw Jatavius Sanders be inconsistent this year, CK.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen these. I mean, we don't have anybody, I think, that we would be like, we need to make sure we're game planning around these guys getting the ball, right? There's nobody from the tight end role that we've had that we felt that way. I just, the fact that we don't throw to the tight end, but such a few, like it almost makes me feel like we have an entire offense that is intended not to, target tight ends, which is interesting. So I mean, I'm willing to still have Tommy Tremble back, but the problem is I just feel like what he does is replaceable by somebody who is half the salary, if not lower.
Yeah. All right. So now that the Carolina Panthers, what we know of what is going on with this team, right? Or at least where they're at now, this right here, let me see what we got here is there are three pathways. As I tried to look at, what other teams in similar situations in the past have done that have addressed, look, is you're not your middle of the pack in cap spending, but you also have potential to do something, right? You're not it's not urgent, but just kicking just sitting is not necessarily, can't do that in NFL, CK. You can't just sit. The Panthers have to, at the very minimum, incrementally get better, right? Yeah. They have to make this team from a roster standpoint better every single year. And I don't know how the Carolina Panthers never have any money. I just don't get it. I don't get how that's the case. I guess if we were trying to understand it, I guess we do get it. They signed J.C. Horn. They've paid Derek Brown. They have paid an offensive line. But this is what all teams have to do at some point. So here's 3 different ways that teams have tried to do this in the past, CK. You have the damn dastardly New Orleans Saints. Their blueprint, the kick the can strategy. They're the gold standard for manufacturing cap space. We know it. It's that voodoo cap. It's what Cody used to say, the cap doesn't mean anything. Just look at what New Orleans does. In 2021, they were nearly $100 million over the cap and somehow managed to be compliant without a complete roster fire sale. So what did they do? Go ahead, CK.
I was going to say, but they've also not been a relevant team since then. We have been saying since Drew Brees, before he retired, we had been saying the other shoe was going to drop for New Orleans, right?
And it finally did at that point, right? But they still got somehow another year. They juiced it for another year, right? What did they do? They converted massive base salaries into signing bonuses and added void years. This is kind of a kick the can strategy. And they spread the cap hit as thin as possible. So like what would be the strategy if Carolina did this is they restructure Derek Brown, Robert Hunt, add void years, and it would maximize release. But there's a ton of risk with this, CK. Like you said, is when did the shoe drop? It dropped. And I think that with the Saints, the difference being in comparison to Carolina Panthers is that Drew Brees window was closing. And I don't even know if he was still around in 2021.
No, I think he retired the same year that Luke did.
So that would have been what, 2020?
I think 2020.
Yeah. So look, is like you said, is there's a big risk with this, and that is that eventually catches up to you. Mm-hmm. Somehow the Saints did this for a decade. It wasn't just 2020, 2021 that they did that. So you can, if you are in a viable contention strategy, is you just say this is we're ready to suck it up later. Let's juice this right now. I don't think that's the great analogy for the Carolina Panthers, right? Because the Saints have remained in cap hell for years after, and it's often forced their hand in having to trade away players or cut important players, and that have made them somehow irrelevant. But you know what? They still had the same damn amount of wins we did, CK.
Yeah, it's doesn't make us feel great about winning the NFC South to know that team has struggled mightily, and right now at going into this year, it legitimately is anybody's game as who's going to win the NFC South. So, I mean, who knows? Maybe that is the approach that we have to take this year. I mean, that to me, that seems like the only reasonable approach that we can take at this point.
You can do what the Rams have done in the past, right? They're famous for kind of like fuck them picks that we made in the past. Reset quick, add talent, add cheaper talent when they realized they were top heavy and they lacked depth. They've swallowed some tough pills moving on from some big name, high priced veterans in the past, and accepting that a year of high dead money to reset the books for the following season. And I would hate the idea that the Carolina Panthers could just be like, you know what, is we got into the playoffs, but we're back to rebuild. If you were going to do this for the Carolina Panthers, it would include cutting players like Ashawn Robinson or Damian Lewis, doing something like that. And it would hurt your depth in 2026, but it would clear up space for 2027. And I don't think the Panthers have the luxury of going backwards at any point with the fan base, CK, or with me.
You more importantly than any of them.
Yes. I mean, I don't know if I can take it. I mean, we're sitting here grinding out all of these damn things in the offseason. You're trying to tell me we're going backwards? Hell no. This team better be moving forward. All right.
I mean, I think that's going to be if we were going backwards, we're the difference between what the Rams did and what we're doing is the Rams made it to the top, and eventually they were going to have to reset at some point, and they just were willing to make the cuts they needed to go down the mountain a little bit so that the trek back up wasn't that bad. We're not even halfway up the mountain.
Yeah, and I got to disagree with Anthony on this. He says, to be fair, we have had a pretty quick 2-year turnaround. 2023 was disastrous, and this roster still has tons of holes to fill, and we still made the playoffs. Now, where I disagree is this. I do not disagree that 2023 was disastrous, but I don't really think that the Panthers have etched out this strong direction. I think I need to see more from this team, is that if this team isn't winning more games this year coming up than they did last year, if they are at the very minimum finishing the season like they did this year, or even worse, finishing less, I've got some real struggles doing this, continuing on. I'm always going to continue, but it makes Sundays hard. Right? Is this season wasn't easy by any means. This was not. I think that shows how difficult the past has been, that we're sitting here going, man, is like, we're back. I have some real concerns about how this offensive line, with this limited cap money, with questions about the 5th year, we got this 5th year option in Aquanu. There's no trading him. There's no getting rid of like that. There's no, you got to suck up this money for Aquanu. You got to find an answer at left tackle. We need to try to find Cade Mays into this equation. And what all of this money is like, is that all of a sudden injury is complicating so much of our investment on that offensive line. And you want to talk about having an offense that you're wanting to improve, that you've added weapons, and that you're trying to get Bryce, is like, we don't need Bryce to be we need him to progress, and progressing is going to require a strong offensive line. So I mean, I do think that the Panthers have been on a good trajectory, Anthony. Is that and like you said, I agree, Tony. I'm just saying, I don't think any of us had us to win the division this year. No, because we didn't have the guts to. Right. And not the guts. So like, we shouldn't have. I mean, there's no real reason for you to pick that, but you need to be, at what point does the rebuild end and you start building something that has structure, longevity, and things like this? And that goes to the third potential option, CK, for how you can manage this, or how other teams have managed this. And I don't know what the Panthers' answer is. It's like, are we just forever going to be a 9-7, 7-9 team, or 7-8, whatever it is to get the 17, 9-8, or 8-9 team? Right. The Browns have frequently used restructures, though, in the past to create the most cap space in the NFL for a single window, even when they started in the red. They did things like automatic conversion clauses. They don't just restructure 1 or 2 players. They restructure every high earner simultaneously, from Watson, Ward, Garrett, to create a massive war chest in the offseason. So if Carolina was going to do this, CK, they could do something like this. Is if Dan Morgan wants to go out and be a big game hunter in free agency, it could trigger restructures. Like, you go, we're going to restructure Horn, Hunt, Derek Brown, and Taylor Moton all at once, and you flip that $13 million into like $60 million overnight. I know that's not your style, CK, but out of these 3 options, I don't like the New Orleans one. I don't necessarily like the reset one. I don't love just sitting and doing nothing. I don't know if this would be the worst option.
I'm not gonna. Yeah, listen. I'm not opposed to any of them. Right. I'm willing to be able to say that there's a chance that any of them work. I just don't know that. I don't know what's going to be the best moving forward for the Panthers. And you might be right. That may be the best bet. I'm not sure if it's just reluctance because of the way the past few years have gone or what, but I'm hesitant to say we go about it that way.
I also think there's a lot riding on this season, CK.
I don't disagree.
I don't think it's everything, right? I don't think if the Panthers don't win the Super Bowl, like we're not one player away. But I feel like this, if the Panthers sit where they're at or even worse, regress, then you're starting to talk about resets for a quarterback and coach potentially. I don't know if 2027 any more a year than 2026 is.
That's I don't know. I mean, I really don't know. I'm a Panthers fan. I want to make that abundantly clear, but there towards the end of last year, I mean, it was, we said it and I said it on the show. It was pretty clear that the two best teams in the NFC South weren't even in playoff contention anymore. And that worries me because I don't know that, I don't, to put it into perspective, Shug he was second in the running for offensive player of the year or rookie offensive rookie of the year. Why that's important for us to Shug.
Oh, I know. And he only started like 8 games.
And so it's when we saw him play. Now, some people the argument's going to inevitably be, and I don't think it's an invalid argument, but the argument is going to be that he didn't really play anybody of, value, which by the way, he beat the Panthers twice. So if you're a Panthers fan, that doesn't make you feel great when you hear people say that he didn't play anybody of value. And so there's the argument that he didn't play
the teams we did.
Right. And I mean, I don't know that he performed very well. Or like there towards the end as an example. He I think if I'm not mistaken, like that was the last game that he didn't look very good.
I guess did
against the Falcons. Yeah, the
Falcons won it. They were kind of trending in the right direction.
Right.
If you're a Saints fan, you're not upset about how he played in the circumstances and how their offense was irrelevant. Who was their quarterback before? It's my bastard sons, the former South Carolina quarterback.
Oh, Statler or Spencer Strattler.
Yeah, Spencer Rattler.
Yeah. He's not Stratland. He's Rattling.
Yeah, and he ain't rattling the right way. I don't know. I mean, I almost feel like the Panthers almost could do the Rams approach in a sense, and not must win now, but like take over now and hope. I mean, then I guess you're running into the problem of Bryce Young of what do you do afterwards. But right now, I'm not worried about the Bryce Young problem, CK, because I need Bryce Young to be a good problem and us figure it out later. And I don't think that if you have a year next year that is mediocre at best, that you have solved what you're doing at quarterback. What do you think we should do behind Bryce Young at quarterback with the Andy Dalton scenario? Do the Panthers need somebody who can be relevant if Bryce Young gets hurt or if things go sideways, or do they rock with who they got and say it's going to work or it doesn't?
I mean, if it's a difference of $2 million, I think it's still worth. I mean, people are going to crucify me here because I believe Andy Dalton has regressed in such a substantial way from what he used to be in Cincinnati, just in the few starts he's had for the Panthers. But I think $2 million, isn't the end of the world. I will say I don't disagree if we were to move the route of moving in a backup quarterback or drafting a backup quarterback or something. because we've seen the best that we've ever seen from Andy Dalton. It's not going to get any better. And quite honestly, we've seen the floor, and right now it feels like he's at his floor as far as performing. If we were to go in on a rookie QB as a backup, and God forbid something happens to Bryce and he comes in and he plays lights out, all of a sudden now we have a better shot. That's not going to be Andy Dalton. You know what I mean?
I don't see any scenario where you're going to get a rookie QB in the mid rounds or late rounds that's going to all of a sudden be equivalent. Do you go out and get somebody who is just more serviceable as a backup in case something happened is a question. Big shout out to VR, the Hope Dealer, with the C3 Super Chat. He said, we must go hard in 2026. Our schedule is tough. So the Carolina Panthers did make the playoffs. Their strength of schedule is going to be far more difficult than it was the year before. And the Panthers need to create momentum rather than questions going forward. Some other things in the chat that are White Chocolate Espresso says draft a QB late or get Levis. Nanook of the North says Dalton needs to retire. And Panther Gal says Dalton better be gone or I'll have a mini meltdown. And whoever Anonymous 2930 is, Russell Wilson, let's ride. Yuck to that. Let's go get Jameis Winston just to make excitement. And like, I think there used to be a morale coach for the Carolina Tar Heels, right? Like they had a coach and he was called the morale coach. I think that should be Jameis Winston's assigned title for the world. I saw something like this, CK. This was a fun tweet. You know, I love Jameis and how fun he is and who doesn't, right? I guess one person in an Uber probably doesn't, but
oh no,
I know. I just think of him as saying the snow football, man. He's just so great. As they said, if you had, it was just a random post, my ex tweet, I call him tweet still, and said if you had one person to represent humanity, if aliens came to the planet, and it was like I think Sleeper, the fantasy football site, put up Jameis Winston. And I was like, that's who we send as our representative. I'm all for it.
His arc, his storyline, his arc is just hysterical.
He's endearing,
W's and everything. Like the dude is unapologetically himself.
Yeah.
It's wild.
All right, let's go ahead and get to some cat calls right now. Guys, we still got a lot of show to go. We're about to get into, we figured out what the Panthers are facing, or at least have tried to address what the Carolina Panthers are facing in free agency. And we've tried to outline some potential pathways. And I don't know if there's a single one of just looking at what the Saints, the Rams, and the Browns have done, if there's a one size that fits us directly. Right, for this season. I do tend to think that I like out of these the Browns option the most, and to say, look, it's Bryce Young's 5th year. We got him in the option. Let's see with all the pieces if it's worth continuing this rather than creating questions. Let's create some solutions. But guys, you can get in and let us know what you think about what we're going to next. We're going to be talking about free agent options because Miami's having a fire sale, and there are some big names out there that are always, look, when it gets free agency time, CK, anytime a name, any guys get cut in the league, you're going to see a bazillion posts of where people are like, this is the guy. Let's go get him. We want everything. When we go into the toy store, we want everything. So we're going to get into the 3 tiers of options for the Carolina Panthers that they could target, or we actually probably would love for them to target. Maybe not realistic, but before we do that, let's get into some cat calls. The number is 252-228-5098. That's 252-228-5098. G. Cavassier going to be up first.
So what are your thoughts on catcalling?
Yeah, it's pretty
You shouldn't do that to somebody.
And how did that make you feel?
Very uncomfortable.
So how do you think catcalling makes the person feel?
It feels good, like.
Who's that cat sitting in the back corner with his face buried in his nose? Who's that kid that can use one?
Podcast brothers, how y'all doing? G Cavassier, it's been a while. Hey, I'm keeping it short and simple. Y'all been looking at the internet. You seen the Dolphins release Bradley Chubb, Tyreek Hill, and I would love for the Panthers to go after Bradley Chubb. I swear, because he can put up some sacks. Tyreek Hill, he's coming off an injury, he's sort of like a troublemaker, and we really don't need that in Carolina. He can't stretch the field though. We haven't had a wide receiver that stretched the hill like that since we had Teddy Ginn. The only thing is he got better hands than Teddy Ginn, but free agency is coming up, and I would love them boys to get good old Bradley Chubb to come to Carolina. Man, and I know some people are going to leave. Every year that happens and everything. And to me, I don't know what the front office is doing, but hopefully they make the right decisions. I truly do. Because you put Chubb on that edge, man, along with the two rookies from last year, that will be something. In the backfield, we're fine. And for the safety, I want Latham to take over. We already got that dude from Oakland. From the Raiders back there. Put Latham back there with him and Mike Jackson and J.C. Horn. That would be something, man. That would be something. And we're our linebackers. I don't know what we're going to do. Because as I told you before, I don't like that 3-4 defense because there's always like two linebackers on the field at all times. I'd rather have three because I'm a 4-3 type of dude. But, give me your thoughts on that, y'all. Would y'all take Bradley Chubb? Give me your honest opinion because I would. Keep pounding.
Great segue into the free agent discussion. You want to talk about history of, there's that, I won't say nepotism, but you want to look at the connections between players and coaches. And if you look at Giro Evero, he was that defensive coordinator for the Broncos when they drafted Bradley Chubb. So he's familiar with the player. And he's recently become available because Miami is like clearing house right now. He turns 30 this season. He's kind of at this is kind of apex mountain for him in a sense, is like you don't see his career just as getting tremendously better, right? This is peak time where he's still good as a vet, but not too old, not too young, but you don't see him in 5 years necessarily being the player that comes with the name. He's still productive, but he's faced when he's healthy, but he's had some problems with injuries over in his time in Miami. And one good thing about acquiring Bradley Chubb is that he would not count towards the compensatory pick formula because he's considered a street free agent. And to give you a little insight, CK, about what he's done, he's had multiple double-digit sack seasons in his career. There's times he still shows flashes of elite burst and power. He's a strong run defender in comparison to other pass rushers who are considered specialists at that. And he is considered to be a scheme versatile player that can be a 4-3 and or stand-up 3-4 outside linebacker, which would be important for the Carolina Panthers. Final points on this is, though, he is not going to necessarily come cheap at the age and time in his career. He is going to want likely a multi-year, he's not going to come as a 1-year mercenary. It doesn't feel like. Might not be looking at a 5-year deal or 4-year deal, but maybe a 3-year deal. Estimated somewhere between, right now, estimates are between 15 and 20 million. But I think he would be a good fit for the Carolina Panthers, CK. What do you think about Bradley Chubb? Do you put more on him as a player, his connections to Evero, or I mean, is this a guy that's worth the money in your mind?
The answer is I don't know how I feel. I feel like he's probably not performed to the level that he was traded to perform to. We're going to the Dolphins from who was it with the Broncos, and so I don't know. I think he still has the fuel in the tank. I'm certainly willing to roll the dice on it. I just don't know. 15 to 20 million feels a bit high for a
comes
dude
with the territory though, doesn't it? To a certain extent,
it does. But if I'm going to spend, I don't know. That might be. I mean, I'm certainly feeling better about that than the Trey Hendrickson one. The Hendrickson one.
Say that again. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I was trying to put up a poll and I heard an ad.
Yeah, you're fine. I'm saying I would feel better about Bradley Chubb at the 15 to 20 than I would for what you have there showing up for Trey Hendrickson.
Why do you say that?
Trey Hendrickson's also getting to that, he's a bit older. I'm not saying he's not bad, but I don't know. I feel like his seasons have been he got paid off of just an incredible season, or did he end up getting his income? Did he end up getting the contract he was
had? I don't.
Or did he play on the franchise tag?
Hold on, I got that here. Let me put this poll up real quick. I'm gonna ask this is quick in the chat, or this is because I'm trying to navigate these polls without the question mark. Let's see. This makes sense. Is Bradley Chubb a safe upgrade or a difference maker? Is what we're going to put in the chat right now. All right. Let me give you some deets on Trey Hendrickson.
Yes.
Let's see what we got about his contract. Let's see. This is my notes on Trey Hendrickson right now. Consistent top tier sack producer in Cincinnati, still in his prime years. Let's see how old he is. How old is, I think I would write that down. Hendrickson. He's bull crap. He's older.
I know
he's 31.
Yeah, I mean, you got to keep.
I mean,
in
I guess
mind,
he
is
in the prime. This is his twilight prime, right? Kind of like what we were talking about with Chubb, but even less so. Maybe I'm not dealing with the injury point, but is not a long-term solution. But but we don't need a guy that's going to be great in 5 years. We need a guy that's going to make a difference on this defensive front. Right now, he could hit the market if the Bengals don't extend him or tag him. And I don't think the Bengals are interested in doing either. And I don't think he's happy there. I think this is going to be a part ways. He's been one of the most reliable sack artists since 2020. He wins with motor, hand technique, and closing speed. He generates pressure even when he's not finishing plays, so he's disruptive. He rarely disappears. He, again, would be looking for – he probably, I think – look at this, is he's going to be a more expensive option because of Bradley Chubb with the injury, and Trey Hendrickson is trying to get every dollar. This is his last deal unless somehow he hits like one of those fountain of youth moments late in his career and can negotiate an extension. He's expected somewhere above 20 million, CK. I think I'm with you right away is that I don't know if I look at Trey Hendrickson and go most dominant pass rusher, I'd be more interested in how we get Max Crosby.
I mean, that's the problem with the Max Crosby thing is that the amount of money that he is going to be demanding, I mean, with the trade, like if he gets traded, most of the time these guys come with like a caveat that there's an extension along with it. If he's going to be, going to live somewhere else and what have you. So you're not only having to give, you're talking about going backwards with regard to giving up picks. And I just don't know with as well as this front office has done with making these picks, at least the past couple of years. I don't know if I'm willing to forego that one more year or 2 years potentially in the first round for Max Crosby. If he demands the trade, or if we can get him for a reasonable asking price and draft capital, then I'm all for it. But 2 firsts is just I'm not interested in that.
All right, let me see. Is Anthony? Let's see what he did. I don't even know how to read this. I'm looking at Over the Cap. Oh, not Pro Football Reference. Game logs. We want to look at his career stats. Career regular season. Gosh, let's see. Anthony said he had 17 sacks.
Who's that, Trey?
Trey Hendrickson.
Last year or the year before?
1 in his career, though. That's crazy. Since 2017. First 17. What year is this? Gosh, why is this website? Anthony, that's crazy. Is he had that many sacks? And then I still continue to think, though, is that while he may be doing that, their defense is stunk. I feel like Khalil Mack's too old. I think he's a name. So if we go through some of this some more, but if we were going to let's just stick with Trey Hendrickson. He becomes a true number 1 right away. CK, like, I mean, he better.
Yeah.
That motherfucker. If he don't put up over 10 sacks and you pay him over $20 million, I would be fucking livid. That
would be the concern from my perspective, at least, is I just don't want, we have been in the business for the past few years. I've said it multiple times. We have been buying high and then selling low. And I just don't want to be in the business of having something like that happen again. I just don't know if my psyche can handle it.
All right. Right now the poll is 80% believe Chubb is a safe upgrade. Go ahead. Last couple of moments there to view this. Some people are suggesting Khalil Mack, aging vet. As Mack had 2.5 sacks last year, he's done. Kev says, but he also wants Clowney all the time, every day. Clowney does have decent production. I'd rather have Clowney on my team than not. Right. Look, I know. Look, here he is. Look, here he is right here. Q Kev. I'm telling you, the smart move is Clowney. Cheap. These guys are very risky. Hassan Reddick. It's interesting. It's not interesting. I don't know why. Like, why can't the Panthers have nice things? I don't know. Hassan Reddick, do you feel like he is? I'm gonna just look. What were Hassan Reddick's stats last year? Hassan.
So he didn't. He went to the Bucks, right? And I'm pretty sure he was. Yeah, he was on the Bucks.
He had 2.5 sacks.
Yeah, he had largely it was a inconsequential year. Yeah. I still think he suffered from just not having anybody know how to play him. Just like he's always
arrival,
had.
Probably, right?
Yeah,
late arrival. So, you know what is now that we're looking at this list right here, and these are our tier 1. Not all 4 of these guys, but like you're sitting here talking about we need pass rush now, right? Like if you could go and spend your money in free agency, and you could only spend it on one position. You're talking about everybody. I feel like it would be hard to say, oh, we want to get any other position than
Right.
something that contributes to the pass rush. Right now, I feel like I'm on the Bradley Chubb or the Max Crosby train.
I think Bradley Chubb is the one that makes the most sense to me, just from the ability to actually build it. Because again, the Max Crosby is you're making a splash, assuming, like, basically believing that your team is that one player away. When we've just established already that we have quite a few concerns from left tackle to linebacker to what we're going to do with the tight end role, all of this stuff. We don't really know what we're trying to be, and giving up the first round draft pick that would be required to get a Max Crosby, if not 2 years of a first round draft pick. I think you're setting yourself up for a situation where we're just getting star players that come here to really not perform well.
All right. Yeah, I mean, I understand. How about this? Is that, or let me ask you this, CK, is trading for, I guess you would have to trade for Max Crosby, right?
Yeah, you have
We
to.
mentioned that. Would that be, what would be signing Trey Hendrickson or trading for Max Crosby force you into that? What your fear is that when now, like, this is the only thing, which one would be more detrimental? And for me, I believe it's Trey Hendrickson. I think
you
that
think it would be more detrimental with Trey Hendrickson?
Yeah, I do. Is that just the money alone? I'm sure Max Crosby's, well, we have to look at his contract. I think he is one of the most elite players I've seen in the NFL at every moment. Like, how about this? Who would you, if you had your choice, we're picking teams in the backyard, would you pick Trey Hendrickson or would you pick Max Crosby?
Max Crosby.
Me too.
But I'm not. But you're talking about detrimental. I mean, yeah, Trey Hendrickson's going to cost 21 to 30 mil, but look at what Crosby's going to cost on top of it's not cheap.
Let's see. Hold on. Type this in. Roads to Panthers. Let's look up over the cap real quick, because we got to keep moving. We're making such good progress tonight. And Max Crosby over the cap. How do you spell his name? Is it 2 X's?
I think it's 2 X's, yeah.
Oh, of course. All right, his current contract is this. Max Crosby signed a 4-year, $94 million contract with the Raiders in 2022. He receives $53 million in guarantees in which 26.5 is fully guaranteed. Crosby receives $13 million and signing bonus is 20. Here, let me just put it up so you guys can read along with me. See if we can figure this out real quick. But I think the good thing about this is, CK, is that they have to eat that guaranteed money so much. Right now,
But
maybe
my issue isn't that he would, if you got to keep in mind, he signed a 4-year extension in 2022.
Wait, hold on. Here we go. On March 5th, 2025, the Raiders and Crosby agreed to a 3-year, $106 million extension. So this happened in 2025.
Yes.
Salaries were increased $32 million and $30 and were made fully guaranteed. His salary. So let's see what it looks like. Base salary. Oh, he would be in that 20 to 30 range.
Plus giving up 2 first-round draft picks.
I just feel like he's a better player. So I'll give you a 3rd and a whatever. Let's see.
But you're talking about 2 firsts, and that is, like, he might be a better player, but he's not going to be enough. Like, he's not going to be able to.
I won't give it. No, like, they got to cut that cash, bro.
There's no shot that you're getting Crosby for less than 2 firsts.
Okay. Well, then,
Yeah.
no, I think that I felt like there would just be sellers on that. How about this, CK? Let's go to another call real quick, and then we'll continue to dive into these free agent options. You guys let us know what you're thinking about in free agency. Chat's looking great. Thank you so much. Make sure you smash the thumbs up button, subscribe. We're grinding. It's just us. It's just a small crowd, but you know what? We're mighty. Let's go to the Hope Dealer.
CK, Tony Dunn, the C3 Legion. What's up, y'all? It's the Hope Dealer checking in real quick. Happy Tuesday to everybody out there. Well, it is officially the off season, and I am excited to see what moves are going to be made upcoming in free agency and in the draft. I saw that Carolina picked up a new offensive mind, my man, and Darrell Bevell, or Darrell Bevell, however you say his name. I know he's been in the league for a while. I think he's been in the league for like 15 years, and supposedly he's an offensive guru. So I'm all for it, man. I like the fact that Dave Canales is willing to evolve offensively. I still have my reservations about Israel Evero, but I guess I just got to deal with it. But I'm hoping that from an offensive standpoint, that this move will help Bryce Young. Daryl, he has experience in working with quarterbacks like Tua Tagovailoa and Russell Wilson, I believe. And so I know him and Canales have a good relationship. So I'm excited to see what moves we could potentially make. I want to see if you guys have any early names as far as free agents on the offensive side of the ball that you guys would like to see here in Carolina. But let's stay tuned. Let's stay posted up, man. And let's keep pounding. Once again, this is the Hope Dealer. Checking in. Go Fish. Love you all. Take care.
Anthony, I will get to your call. We have just two in the hole ahead of you. And so, yeah, we're certainly going to get to your call, but you can also hang around with us for the longest running Panthers podcast. If you guys, all you got to do is we're ready for some guests to come on the show. You just got to get a mic. We just can't do it on the phone. We got to keep somehow a semblance of a podcast going forward. So you guys get your mics out, and we'll get you on the show as guest hosts in the future, potentially. Let's go to this. I was going to skip it. This was not next up necessarily. Because actually we'll just rock real quick through tier 2 of offensive or free agent acquisitions. Kind of goes to the offensive line. How are you going to deal with this? And are you going to go with Cade Mays, or are you going to go somewhere else? And this is, I know that Cade Mays is the guy that's probably going to be the answer for the Carolina Panthers right now. Is that we're looking at a dream scenario for the Carolina Panthers at center would be Tyler Linderbaum, who is a 3-time Pro Bowler with the Ravens. And he's known for his elite movement and zone blocking, right? I'm going to make sure getting all these details right here. Yes, Baltimore Ravens. I just want to make sure I did not misspeak. And he could be a very important fit. The argument for blue chip center, right, CK, is that he's a blue chip talent who perfectly fits this movement heavy protection scheme that maybe Daryl Bevell could bring into the scenario. Signing him would be an aggressive move to help Bryce Young. I don't know how the Carolina Panthers, though, could sink so much money into an offensive line with so many questions. So if you were looking at, in comparison to Cade Mays, you're looking at one player who is a 3-time Pro Bowler, but Cade Mays is a solid starter. You're talking about a difference, though, in maybe let's see what the projections are, $18 million for Linderbaum for a center, $10 million for Cade Mays. Can you work through it. Interesting question there. So Bueller's call, though, is kind of, we think defensive front. We're going to talk linebacker, which is going to be very important. But other news that's in the, how much do we give Bryce Young in offensive weapons, CK? Is we've invested in the offensive line. We've gone out and invested in the draft. Can Carolina go out into free agency and spend money? Here's a name that's not going to happen. Mike Evans. Not going to happen. He'll stay in Tampa Bay or retire.
He'll retire there, yeah.
Yeah. But back to the fire sale. Any interest in Tyreek Hill? What are your thoughts on that?
The number one, the Tyreek Hill issue is going to be its own problem. He might not even play this year. Like, his injury was
that significant?
Significant.
Yeah.
And so that could be a situation where he doesn't even show up this year. I also will say, I mean, he's on the back end of his career, so I'm not sure I would want to
still fucking, you're right. But like, it's without that injury, him on his backside of his career is fucking awesome. But that injury, you have no idea.
You really don't. And I mean, it just, the dude brings a certain level of, I don't know that he fits in our wide receiver room, is all I'm saying.
I think here's the problem. I think Kev said it in the chat, is like, he's just trying to get on he's going to be trying to get on a team. I think that over the top, that player, like even him at 80% is better than the Carolina Panthers have had in a long freaking time, like Steve Smith time. Right. My problem with this is I don't believe that Tyreek Hill will come cheap at any time.
Right.
Like, I think
he's
that
not.
His name, his history as a football player, and I also don't think he's like, I need to sign a 1-year prove it deal. He's like, I got to pay for my kids deal.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, he's absolutely not going to be accepting a friendly deal that is going to, leave the team feeling better off or anything along those lines. Wherever he goes, the problem with him being later in his career is the money matters more now than it ever has.
And he's gotten big money, but he's also in the belief, I think, that he's not a discount player either.
Right.
His discount year is more expensive than other people's discount years.
Sure.
One name to look out for, would not be cheap though, but really could be a great addition to the Carolina Panthers, is former New Orleans Saint traded to the Seattle Seahawks and Rashid Shaheed. Over the top guy, deep threat. You want to open it up, he can bring that to you. But he can do kickoff and punt returns as well. But I think he's coming into a moment too where he needs to make and capitalize the most off his deal. An option,
he's got more eyes on him for sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, as a wide receiver, he's also not, he's going to be paid more because of his special team ability than his wide receiver ability.
All right, let's take another call. We'll figure out these final free agents. We're getting through the show. Great, guys. We got 3 calls left in the hole right now. So it's your time to get in at 252-228-5098.
Hey guys, John B. Jenkins here, calling in with your weekly alternative football league update. We've got new uniforms in the UFL. We've got 3 new teams in the TAL, and we've got the COFL. So the UFL has dropped all 8 uniforms, all new redesigned uniforms. If you're a fan of the Birmingham Stallions, they have completely switched the color palette. Helmets are now maroon. The jerseys are gold. I don't know. Go check them out. Let me know what you think. I like some of them. Some of them, I don't know, maybe a little plain. But that is for you to decide. Now, there are now switching over to the TAL, which is the Arena League, where the commissioner is none other than Tim Brown of Oakland Raiders fame. There are 3 new teams you can root for in this league, and this is the league where our Ozark Lunkers, Go Fish,
there we
play,
go. Go Fish.
and where they will be winning the championship this year. That is our Ozark Lunkers.
I'm
Go
a fish.
Go check that song out if you've never seen it. But those 3 new teams in the league are the Memphis Hound Dogs, the Nebraska Siege, and the Monroe Greenheads, owned by none other than the Robertson family of Duck Dynasty fame.
Oh, wow.
And the marketing company that they use for this league, the marketing company does all the logos for the teams, and I don't know, just nails it on every single one of them. And this Monroe Greenheads team and the Memphis Hound Dogs, you should check those out. It's pretty cool. Now, moving on to the COFL, or the Continental Football League. This is an old league that is being resurrected from the early 60s. And what they're going to do to make this unique is they are going to play 3 quarters NFL style. And the 4th quarter they will use what is called the Continental Divide rule. They will switch from NFL rules to CFL rules, meaning you add an extra player on each side of the field. There are 12 people on each side of the field. There are 3 downs in the game, and you can have wide receivers in motion pre-snap. So that is about all of the sorry. The COFL is rumored to be kicking off, according to their website, in 99 days. So we will see if they actually do pull that off. There are 5 teams right now to root for. Anyway, that's all I've got for my Alternative Football League update for you this week. As always, keep pounding Carolina Panthers. Keep pounding Panthers raw slaw. More updates on them later. And go fish. And keep pounding C3 Panthers Podcast. John B. Jenkins out.
CK, talk about coaching value when you had to play 2 different games. You play 3 quarters under one set of rules, and you game plan for wild card rules at the end. Can any of these leagues ever become anything?
I have no idea. I mean, I think it would require NFL NFL partnership of some sort. Like it would have to be, and I still think it would struggle because I mean, if we think about minor league stuff in baseball, it's not like a lot of those minor league.
Same rules of baseball, though.
Yeah,
it's like a different fucking. Not only is this is wild, CK, is that we look at these alternative football leagues and they have different rules. But now you're talking about alternative football leagues that have 2 different rules in the same fucking game. As Nanook of the North says, that's nuts, dude. That's nuts. Like what? I don't know. At some point, I think you're right, is that like minor league baseball is there's got to be investment from the NFL for this to ever matter,
right?
Because financially, I don't think they can hold on their own, and I think the NFL just has to say we suck up a loss in a developmental league, kind of like baseball does, is we pay for this developmental league for the opportunity to make our league better. There might be more nuts crap about this league. John B. Jenkins got a short call to follow up.
Hey, guys. John B. Jenkins calling back. I'm not sure if you heard the COFL update real quick, but this is the one that's the most intriguing. Just to recap, in case you didn't hear me.
We got
you.
The
COFL, or the Continental Football League, is a league that will be resurrecting from the early 60s. And what they're going to be doing that is different from any other league is they're going to run both NFL and CFL rules, and they're going to implement what's called the Continental Divide.
Like this.
At the end of the 3rd quarter, beginning of the 4th quarter, they will switch from NFL rules to CFL rules, supposedly, where they will have 12 men on each side of the field, 3 downs of football, and wide receivers can go in motion. They will not be extending the field. In fact, the CFL is shortening their field to the NFL length this year. That's a whole topic for another story. But, that's the COFL. We'll see if they do actually kick off in 99 days from now.
All right. Thanks, John B. with that. With the wildest alternative football history I've ever heard. 2 different rule sets. It's like we're going to play Monopoly by the rule book and then switch to house rules in the last phase of the game to speed things up and make it exciting. Let's go to Anthony from Charlotte. He's got some thoughts on free agency, I believe.
Yo.
Oh, no,
What's
this
going
is
on, C3.
Yeah, it is.
Obviously been in the chat all night. Just wanted to call in real quick. Okay. Now, like, I totally understand if, CK and Tony all not for paying a guy like Trey Hendrickson, right? And I understand the money comes with it. Last year, I don't know if you guys remembered, but I was a huge Milton Williams guy. I was like, just pay this guy a blank check. Like, he's going to make a difference, especially with Derek Brown. Like, you saw what he did with the other D tackle on the pass last year. He was great, right? And, we didn't get him. They had a price point. That's fine. Like, but the backup options, right? Because you had to pivot, you then had to overpay a guy like Tershawn Wharton, who's making $15 million and effectively did nothing for us. Now, I know he was injured, but when he was on the field, he wasn't effective. So my whole thing is, like, I just don't see why as fans, like, we get so scared away from someone like a Trey Hendrickson that when he's on the field, he gives you 35 sacks in the last 2 years. And, like, if his market value is $25 million, I would much rather pay him $10 million more a year than be happy that, we got Tershawn Wharton for 15, if that makes sense. All right. But if you do not want to go that route, right, and paying an edge rusher, I would seriously tell you that based on the comments Dan made, they got to land some playmaker on defense. If you don't want to invest the money in the edge room, you've got to go sign a guy like Devin Lloyd, or there's tons of good linebackers out there. Sign someone. You're going to have to pay someone good here to come here, right? We've seen them do it. And that's why I'm like, I don't know why. And I'm not putting blame on anyone. I'm not telling anyone how to think or anything like that. But when we paid the offensive line, we paid them a lot of money, but they've been awesome. Like, when we paid Trayvon Moore $18 million a year, he was awesome last year. Like, I'm just saying, paying a lot of money to players isn't necessarily a bad thing. The Crosby thing is a great example because it's like, this is an avenue where I can actually see Dan being, this is why he is aggressive in free agency, in my opinion, because I think he values draft picks. And I think he'd much rather just pay the penny, pay the price for something he really needs without having to give up draft picks. And Crosby obviously is the best option, right? He's elite against the pass. He's elite against the run. He's still in his prime. He's 29. Like, he's probably got 4 great years left to play. But the problem is we're not that level of contention yet. I just want to give my thoughts. Peace. See y'all.
CK, your thoughts on the Crosby Hendrickson win now debate?
I mean, I agree. I mean, I think the dude is a baller, but I think the difference between him and Trey Hendrickson, and I just don't know that it's big enough to warrant the cost to go get Crosby.
Anyway, the Panthers are going to have to upgrade in free agency. It will come at a cost. Will it come at a cost of Hill unlocking the offense and skewing the cap? Will it cost the Panthers money now? Will you take the risk of Bradley Chubb and his injury history, much younger player, or do you go with guys that are in their elite of the elite? If I just did not have to think about any of these players of what they mean for the long term, CK, I would want Crosby 1, and I think Bradley Chubb 2. I don't know. I mean, I'm worried about Hendrickson. He would have to be an elite pass rusher for us for 2 years at that money, and not miss a beat.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I still think that the going the route of building this through the draft makes more sense to me.
I still think I told you, I think we make one splash, and I do think it is going to be the edge rushing position. But I don't know that we're going to be, number one, I don't know we're going to be a destination that the top pass rushers are going to want to go to anyway. So it'll be interesting to see how that works itself out. But I do think that we make a move. But I personally think it's more along the lines of a Bradley Chubb type of a move instead of the others.
Could see that fitting more financially and with the compensation.
Yeah.
And how much is that compensation? I'm really not usually scared of draft picks, CK, when they're outside the first, though. I'm not like, it's like if you're talking a second or a third or fourth, whatever, if you can make things happen that way. When you talk about a one or multiple ones, then that is the giant risk there. We got one more call in the hole right now, and then I've got a fourth option on defense because the Panthers need help at linebacker. And is there a name that is viable and really probably going to be the guy that's most the greatest option for us financially going forward? Former Georgia defensive captain and national champion. Let's take this last call.
Yo, it's my chocolate espresso. Listen, I want to talk about the edge situation in free agency. And yes, I know I am a Clowney stan. I get it. South Carolina. I get it. But all the four guys you put on that screen, he had the better numbers than all of them. It'll be cheaper. It's just stats. It probably won't happen, but just saying, he had the better numbers. But I also think we need to play money ball with the edge for a couple of reasons. The guys you put out there, they're a bit risky and they're a bit old. So, and also Evro's defensive scheme is not going to have them at their best. So think about that. They're coming off injury, old, and playing a scheme that's not going to have them do what they do the best. So I think we need to play money ball with the edge, honestly. In fact, I think we need to put all our focus and money into the offense, so we're a high-scoring team. And I've been saying Tyreek Hill, bro. Tyreek Hill. Everybody said, he's hurt. Look at his numbers before the injury. He averaged like 65 yards per game with a shit quarterback in 4 games. The year before that, he had like over 970 yards, I think, close to 1,000. And he's come off injury. He's not going to be ready probably from week 1. I know they said they would hope so, but probably not. Probably in November will he be fully healthy. Let, T-Mac and poker ride and then slowly bring him in. And he's going to be cheap. Bring him in for that playoff push to get us in the playoffs. And then when he's in playoffs, imagine Tyreek Hill as a third receiving option in November and December, and then probably take over number 1. Who knows? But that's what we need. We need Tom Brady 2020 amp up offense. Remember that offense? Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Antonio Brown, Rob Gronkowski. Like that shit was stacked. That's what we need. Linebackers, I'm not really he's a devil like him, but I think we need to draft our linebackers because I just don't see a good class in the linebacker with free agency. But tight end, hell of a free agency class. So I think we need to go get one of those guys. But that's my thoughts.
Well, look, CK, as you want to talk about the Miami, well, boy, the Dolphins, have they been? When was the last? When were they so connected to the Carolina Panthers since we got Ted Ginn Jr. from them? I think in a trade or
Ted Ginn Jr. Now this year we have the Robert Hunt connection. You have the potential for some of these other pieces. Yeah.
And we have Darrell Bevell. If you want to
Yep.
know, this is got the guy that is going to be the person that could give you insight for the Carolina Panthers if Tyreek could be something that could be a factor for this offense. At least you have an insider who would so if that Tyreek conversation comes about, you have to believe that they're leaning into Bevell's knowledge about Tua and what happened in Miami. Speaking of loading up the offense, there has been, as everybody's talked about Xavier Legette as among Panther fans and disappointment and what happened in his second year, how the Panthers have invested higher end picks in this offense. There have been Bill Barnwell yesterday said that some circles and Panther fans are talking about a Xavier Legette for Michael Pittman Jr. trade. The proposal, the deal that Barnwell, I guess, and the talk around this is Panthers would receive Michael Pittman Jr. and a 2026 7th-round pick for Legette and potentially a 2026 5th-round pick. For the Colts, they're facing financial pressure and a need for cap relief, and this could free up some space for them. How would this work for the Carolina Panthers? He's 6'4", 220 pounds. He's a boundary bully. He's elite at winning contested catches. In 2025, he had 784 receiving yards and 7 touchdowns. And this was with injuries facing Daniel Jones, right? The problem would be is you want to talk about the financials. Pittman is entering his final year of a 3-year, $70 million deal. It'd be a short-term fix. Maybe he'd be looking for a significant, an extension. You don't want to get involved in that, right? And I don't know if this is you're trying to seek a guy who wants big money, but if you wanted a mercenary, like a 1-year warrior, maybe this would work. He would give Tet some freedom to play in the slot, and he would help Bryce Young. So if you want to go that route and offense, that's a potential for that. But here I think is an interesting name for a need and something that might actually be financially viable for the Carolina Panthers. And that is former linebacker. Well, he's a linebacker now for the Eagles. He was drafted by the Eagles in 2022, 3rd-round pick. Former defensive captain for the Georgia Bulldogs and national champion. That's Nakobe Dean. And he's known for loving film, being a fast processing linebacker rather than a guy that only wins with pure size and length. He's built that reputation as a film junkie, and he did suffer a season-ending injury in 2024, which is a problem, right? But this gives you the attraction is a guy that is affordable. And the Panthers need a linebacker that ups this group quick and fast in a hurry. And hopefully he could move quickly towards a starting role if he was healthy. He fits this system in so many ways because he could be a kind of field general, as in he could be a guy that you could count on to know that knows football and plays well, preparation obsessed. He's not just a linebacker. He's a guy that is helping put defensive players in good positions. CK, are we going to be ending up where we're talking about guys like Bradley Chubb to Trey Hendrickson to Max Crosby? Is Nakobe Dean the type of player we're probably going to get saddled with?
Yes, but I don't think it's in a bad way. I mean, I think Kev's right. I think we have to play Moneyball right now. until we know we have it, right? Like nobody's gonna come to the Panthers on a friendly deal right now. We're gonna have to pay a premium price for a guy to come here. That's one of the top guys, and so I think you might end up going for a guy like this, and you're still gonna probably have to overpay for it, but I don't think I do think you have to play with the numbers a little bit, and the linebacker is certainly one that we need to consider as far as like a full-on retreading of the entire position group.
All right, you're listening to the C3 Panthers podcast. We're finishing up our discussion right here. I'll ask you guys for people listening on YouTube right now and listening later. If you're listening on Spotify and iTunes later, this is for you. You guys, I want you to leave in the chat after the show's over. You can help us by smashing the thumbs up button. You can hit hype the video on YouTube. That gives us some activity. I want you guys in the chat afterwards to rank your targets. Do you want Chubb, culture and production, Linderbaugh, long-term builder at center, Hill, a chaos weapon, or do you like Max Crosby? You guys in the chat afterwards and now, if you want, who is your number one signing if you could get one player? You're listening to the C3 Panthers podcast, the longest running Panthers podcast. CK, you had one news note to talk about for the space, and not just one. You contribute so much to this show, and thank you very much. But this show would be remiss if we didn't talk about who.
Yeah, no, none other than Cam Newton, but this time mixed in with a bit of Steve Smith. They had now with YouTube, they allow you to post videos from both channels at the same time, and both 4th and 1 and Steve Smith's channel, I can't remember what it's called. They basically did an ad that was for BetterHelp, and it's about obviously therapy and stuff like that. But it started out with them talking about their why they've really never talked since he's left the team, and even when he was here, and meaning Smitty, how he might have been a bit standoffish towards Cam and things like that. So they do a little bit of talking about that. I'll be honest with you, it was interesting to watch, but there was a comment about halfway through that really summed up how I felt about it. And that was, it was an ad, and you knew it was an ad because they were just talking about therapy for a good portion of this. There were no there were no bombshells. It wasn't like a life, like it wasn't this eye-opening thing. It was just a I could have been a better person. I could have been a better person too. All right, cool. We have the tools to be able to move forward and be better and continue to do the better things as we, build our life from here. It's not to take away from their struggles, especially with Steve Smith's mental health stuff that he had talked about. But it halfway through, it was just that one comment got me, and it was just this dude saying, "Wait, this is just an ad." Like, it was just like, that's what it boiled down to. So no bombshells, but interesting to see those two guys together again.
The show got canceled on, I guess, a BET.
BET, I saw that after 8 episodes. I don't even know what it was.
I think, it was trying to infiltrate the sports, talk show arena, tough space in cable or whatever you call it now.
Is that not a direct competition with ESPN? Like, isn't he part of the ESPN network?
Yeah, I don't know. It's like, how does that work? So Cam Newton forever on our hearts and minds, right? And talk about better health. If you want to sponsor us again, get in here, because we need some better health as we continue to trudge through this offseason. Just a couple of dates to look forward to. Today is the 17th, which was franchise transition player designation window open. So look for teams across the league to place the franchise tag. Next week, CK, when is the 23rd? Let's see. 23rd is Monday. So we'll have some player and we'll get those GM interviews. And the coaches who are speaking to the crowd at the combine starting on the 23rd. Combine runs through March 2nd. March 3rd is deadline to designate franchise or transition. Like you have to do the franchise tag by then. March 9th, we got a whole month almost towards free agency. And then on the 11th, the league year begins. We'll be working towards the draft going forward. Thank you so much for everybody in the calls. We didn't get any calls for our giveaway of what C3 community means. So we'll postpone that as we get a little bit more traction as this offseason goes. We'll renew those giveaways going forward and talk and try to invigorate you guys as we continue to be the longest running Panthers podcast. We're here at 9 p.m. Tuesday nights. There's one final component to this show, CK, where we tell some fools to ice up. Our homage to Steve Smith. Let's ice some fools up. It's our homage to Steve Smith. Better health. Get out of the way as we ice some fools up. Hurt some feelings sometimes. Make some fun of some people sometimes, and ourselves. Everybody's fair game is where we tell someone to ice up, toughen up, to get it together. CK, please tell me you got something for me this week, because I will be grasping at straws. I have a couple that I've had in the past that it's like I always get them on Wednesday or Thursday, and then I don't write them down. And I forget them by Tuesday. So, CK, I hope you got something for me in the news or the world or your life that you can ice somebody up.
Yeah, I have a little something, and I don't know if I want to share it here or not, but I'm going to do it. Have you heard of this C-Dance thing?
No.
Okay. So C-Dance 2.0 is a new AI video tool that China has brought to the market now. And when I am telling you, it is unbelievable how well this thing works. It's unreal. Okay, so let me share this with you. This is one, and this isn't requiring a tremendous amount of prompt. This might have been a 2-sentence prompt, nothing too crazy. And I gotta remove this. Hold on, I got you. Oh, you're good. How do we pull that back up?
Let's see. How we add to stage?
There it is. Okay. So this is not a real video. This is an AI generated video.
So tell the people who may be listening on the audio podcast what we're watching.
So this is a video of, it's AI video, and it is of John Wick fighting Tom Cruise in like a warehouse setting with a lot of water in the warehouse. So you're actually seeing like splashes and things like this. It looks indistinguishable from actual movies. Like it is absolutely it's mind-blowing. So much so that my ice up today is for the people that not only are actors but special effects people, to stunt people, to all of these people. I am telling you, the industries that we thought that would never be able to be replaced by AI are the first ones to have the dominoes fall. it is unbelievable just seeing stuff like this. And it's once there's, and this is obviously, I mean, they're using somebody's likeness. They shouldn't be able to do this, but it's coming from China. So there's, not really a restriction set in place yet. But it's the fact that it's as good as it is with not so much of not needing some crazy, amount of prompt or anything like that it's just unreal to me.
It didn't feel, it wasn't just their likeness, it was more than their likeness.
It was them.
It was them. And they're one of the things is you go back to that writer's strike, CK, that kind of, what was it, 2 years ago, a year and a half? It wasn't even that long ago. And one of the components and this was really cool, of people from Hollywood as high-end actors and like people getting involved in this, was for the extras. And extras were signing away their likeness. So what they would do is they film you for an extra for a moment, and then they're like, we're going to perpetually use you in the background in Spider-Man or whatever. And now the technology is so rapidly advancing that, like, you see why that threat was real. And how about this? Here's a little quick ice up for you on this. Ice up for you is to think, just in 2013, when I was starting this website called CarolinaCatChronicles.com and this podcast, and I didn't know what to call it. Do you know that this dude right here, who's begging for people to listen and care and be a part of the community, was so worried about the Panthers and like being sued for copyright. So I was trying to get something that had to do with Carolina and the Panthers, but I knew I couldn't put them in one phrase. So I went with Carolina Cat Chronicles, right? This long ass name that then has morphed into C3, because I was scared that the Panthers are going to sue me for a website that got 1,000 views a month.
Yeah.
Think about this. In retrospect, is like, now there are no rules on the internet when it comes to like how this is kind of cool and kind of awful in the same way for the little guy. Is like, we're like, fuck it. Now we can just use any name and likeness and put in our thumbnail. And what are y'all going to do about it? AI spam or whatever they call it.
Yeah.
Good Lord. And I tell you, if nobody's putting up with it, as I don't believe Tom Cruise is putting up with it. Tom Cruise is going to invade Mission Impossible. The next Mission Impossible is about invading China and overthrowing their AI system because they used his likeness.
Yeah.
Two quick ice ups for me. The one quick ice up is I went to my daughter had she plays on the girls basketball team. She's in 7th grade. She goes to a Catholic school. Our Catholic school happens to be much bigger than a lot of Catholic schools in the region or in the area. And so much so that they have a 6th grade, a 7th grade, and 8th grade team. Right. And so sometimes they play teams that have everybody playing together. Sometimes they're playing kids too that go to a school that has middle school and high school together, and they're playing their JV high school team. Like, so there's this, we're just blessed in so many ways for having like these kids. Not only do we have a big enough school to do this, but like these kids have they lock arms, like they got a good bond. So we got a full squad. Like, and I feel bad sometimes. You play another team and they got 2 subs, and we're like, we're bringing in 5 new. Like, we're like fresh up this whole roster. So I mean, sometimes it's tough. So we went on the road. It was a fun game, tough game for my daughter's team. And I want to give a lot of credit to their team. And so, I'm blending 2 games together. As the last game I went to, this was 2 games before the one I'm icing up. The last game I went to, I was like, dang, their team is like, we were shorthanded. Some kids had to miss some stuff. We had some injuries too mid-game and stuff. But I was like, I ice up we're like the poor people at our school, CK. We're the poors. You know, it's like you pull up and it's like everybody's got a lot of loot. We're on scholarship and shit like that. I was like, this other team, they were this was last week, so I'm not icing up this team. They played tough. We won. It was a good game. Them mugs were hungry. And you know what I said? I said, these ain't no rich kids. This team right here, they play these kids are grizzled. But 2 weeks or like as they played hard, hungry, and like they didn't back down, but they won't soft like no rich kids. I'll tell you that. The week before though, CK, is this team had these 2 girls that were just bitches. They were mean. They were cat. I've never seen a game that was just like everything was a cat fight. They were yelling. At one point, this girl was arguing with a mom from the other team in the stands. So I'm icing up this is these. Maybe I should be celebrating the cat fight. I don't know what I saw. It was just murder. I mean, these mugs, there was a clothesline in this game. It was people talking junk. It was a tough road game that we pulled out. So that's my first ice up is to, I don't even know. Maybe I'm celebrating cat fighting. It's like Panthers podcast. Maybe we should celebrate cat fighting. My other one goes to is just oversimplification of the world. So I watch the media. I try not to. The only time I listen to the news, CK, when I get in the shower, I tell Alexa, play me the news. That's like, I'm just like, I want to listen. Like, this is the only time I like listen to the news, and it's just like the quick hits. But from whatever it is, from the everything is terrible with ICE to everything is okay, like the truth lies somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
And I've seen arguments for ICE being the demons and this. I don't know what they are. But I will tell you what will screw your narrative up is that, hey, Mikey, give me 1 minute. I'm coming right out. We're finishing the show up right now. My son just got in from New Orleans. Talk about that. 18th birthday celebration.
Oh, wow.
Mardi Gras. But you get this is you get the worst examples on both sides. And then there's a home invasion in our town where some group of 3 people have been linked to this. And they tied somebody, they have everything from kidnapping to assault with weapon to attempted murder, left this person tied up, whatever. And then you go, and then 2 of them are illegal immigrants. I was like, oh God, this is not going to play well in Pitt County. So I will say this is there's 2 sides to every story, right? Or the truth lies in the middle. So if you think it's demon this or demon that, the world's complicated.
That's complicated. Yep.
It's never nuanced. It's never written in on a post-it note. CK, that's the C3 Panthers podcast. I got to get out of here. My son just pulled in. I got to get him his keys to his car because he left it here and he's got a rock. CK, thank you so much for hanging out with me this evening. I look forward to seeing you soon.
Yeah, my dude. I'll see you next week, and we'll get it all squared away.
All right. That's the C3 Panthers podcast. We'll be back next Tuesday. Check us out.